How do you think King Bran has ruled so far? Is there anything that you think he's accomplished during his first couple months in office?
I can't imagine it's a barrel of laughs in Westeros at the moment.
How do you imagine that Bran Stark's first couple months in office have gone? What has he accomplished so far?
I mean, I can't imagine his government is a barrel of laughs.
That's fine.
Not today was a good one.
Yeah,
That's mine as well.
Yeah, it's a good line. Yeah. Short as well, I could remember it.
I'm going to selfishly choose one of my own lines. I really liked Not Today.
I think you're ready for a question.
Oh, yeah.
You recently confessed to pilfering a bunch of Game of Thrones props over the years.
It wasn't a bunch, it was a huge amount.
The list includes a Dothraki sword, Davos's fingerbone bag.
Yes.
It also says here money. I'm assuming that's prop money and not actually embezzlement from HBO.
Well, let's not go into that. That's still with my lawyers.
Yeah.
Liam, you recently confessed to pilfering a bunch of Game of Thrones props over the years.
It was bigger than a bunch.
The list includes a Dothraki sword, a Davos's fingerbone bag. It says here money. I'm assuming prop money and not actual embezzlement from the production company.
On my last day, I just thought I've got to grab something. And I sort of... I panicked. I panicked and I just ran through this set and I just grabbed a wooden spoon. On my very last day on Game of Thrones, I thought, I've got to take something. So I ran through the set I was on, which was actually not even a set I'd ever filmed on. I was doing a promotional shoot for EW, and I just grabbed whatever I could. And so after spending 10 years on Game of Thrones, I've left with a wooden spoon.
I'm James Hibbert, and we're live at the 2019 EW Comic-Con Video Suite presented by Toyota. I'm here with the cast, most eagerly sought-after cast at Comic-Con, the cast of HBO's Game of Thrones.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
First off, congratulations to all of you with 32 Emmy nominations, the most of any television show for one season in the history of TV, including Best Supporting nods for Nikolai and Maisie. Congrats.
Thank you.
The most Emmy Award-winning scripted series of all time, a global pop culture sensation, the most ambitious TV production ever mounted.
Someone left some coffee cups here.
Isaac, the biggest question in Game of Thrones for so long was who would end up on the Iron Throne. The closest answer to that question ended up being Bran Stark. So in your mind, when you think back on the show and you think, how do you think King Bran has ruled so far? Is there anything that you think he's accomplished during his first couple months in office?
I can't imagine it's a barrel of laughs in Westeros at the moment. I mean, not really sure what he's getting up to. I don't really think he's got many ideas. He just kind of sort of sits there and listens to what everyone else says and kind of just chills out.
Isaac, since you're a new king, let's start with you. Perhaps the biggest question from the start of the show was who would end up on the Iron Throne, and the closest answer to that question ended up being Bran Stark. So since the finale has aired, have fans reacted any differently to you? What's that been like for you?
It's been great. I mean, Bran was always kind of a bit of a periphery character. He was never really involved in the main sort of action for many seasons. And all of a sudden he's the king, so it was pretty cool. I've forced my family and friends to now refer to me only as Your Grace. So remember that, everyone.
And in the world of Game of Thrones, where the story is continuing, how do you imagine that Bran Stark's first couple months in office have gone? What has he accomplished so far?
I mean, I can't imagine his government is a barrel of laughs. I think it might be quite serious. And I guess, to all intents and purposes, Westeros is now a surveillance state, with Bran aware of everything that everyone's doing, so, yeah.
So now that the show is over, there's so many iconic lines in the show. For each of you, what is your all-time favorite line of dialogue from the show? Could be your character, could be another character, but what's your all-time favorite line from the show?
Mine would be when we find out how Hodo became Hodo. Hold the door.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
So that was kind of a very long line of dialogue, getting progressively shorter, basically.
Yeah.
Hold
on.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, is that what he said?
Anytime.
Do it again. Fine.
Hey, I wonder did Christian ever forget his lines?
Yeah, he did.
But didn't he just like forget his cues more? Because when you've only got one line,
Yeah.
then you-
Yeah, that's tricky, yeah.
yeah, forgetting your cues.
But I think, what was her name? Lynn was saying, Hoyer? He was going like, what? Holder?
Hello? Hello?
The microphones are helpful.
I've got one, but I can't be rude here, can I? It's
Sure.
one of my
Yeah.
own. Listen, I say it,
You
but
can
it's
swear.
not my line.
It's only live on Facebook.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Davos has a great line, which nothing fucks you harder than time. When I say the Gendry and stuff, I kind of really like that.
Here's the proof.
I hate these people. I'm glad the show is over. I've hated these scumbags for 8 years.
That is a great line.
Maisie, you have one? I feel like you have one.
I don't know. I can only think of Arya's lines now, but I like
That's fine.
not today was like a good one.
Yeah,
But,
That's mine as well.
yeah, it's a good line. Short as well. I could remember it.
I thought Littlefinger's, the speech between Littlefinger and Varys in season 1 or 2, I can't
Think
remember.
about the ladder?
Yeah, Chaos
One
is
about
ladder.
the ladder.
I thought it was cool. And then that was really cool because Bran got to say that back to Littlefinger.
I thought it was Littlefinger says chaos is a ladder.
yeah, he does. He does.
He's talking to Tyrion.
No.
Time fucks
James, could we move on? Could we move on?
Nothing fucks you like time.
Fucks your ears as well.
Nothing fucks you like a chaos ladder.
So now that the series is over, for each of you, I'm wondering, what is your all-time favorite line from the show? Could be your character, could be another character, but what is your all-time favorite line? There's so many quotable lines. Let's start with Nikolai and kind of go down the line here.
My favorite was the line when we found out why Hodor was Hodor. So hold the door.
Liam?
I've been really lucky. There's so many beautiful lines in this show, but I can. One of the favorite Davos lines is, "And put your fingers in your ears. Nothing fucks you harder than time." I think that's magnificent and so true.
Amazing.
I'm going to selfishly choose one of my own lines. I really liked Not Today. I have nothing to add.
I think this is kind of one of my lines. It was originally Littlefinger's, and it was in that great exchange between Varys and Littlefinger. And the whole speech is brilliant, but when he says chaos is a ladder, I think that kind of sums up a lot of the world of Game of Thrones and how you get ahead in it. And I especially love that because I got to repeat that back to Littlefinger in a scene, which it's not often you put Littlefinger on the back foot. So that was something really fun to get to do as an actor.
I think you're ready for a question.
Oh, yeah.
You recently confessed to pilfering a bunch of Game of Thrones props over the years.
It wasn't a bunch, it was a huge amount.
The list includes a Dothraki sword,
Correct.
Davos's finger bone bag.
Yes.
It also says here money. I'm assuming that's prop money and not actually embezzlement from HBO.
Well, let's not go into that. That's still with my lawyers.
Yeah, and a hand-carved stag, which I assume belonged to Shireen, so you kind of took that from her too.
Yeah, two of them. The one I gave her and the burnt one as well. Yeah, two of them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that HBO didn't shorten your fingers for that, but since they didn't, does anybody else want to confess to taking something, not something that they were given by Dan David, not something that was a gift, but taking something from the show that they weren't supposed to take.
On my last day, I just thought I've got to grab something, and I sort of I panicked. I panicked and I just ran through this set and I just grabbed a wooden spoon.
That's so lame. See, this is the difference between a young actor and an older actor. I brought a U-Haul truck on the last day. They caught me at the gate.
Liam, you recently confessed to pilfering a bunch of Game of Thrones props over the years.
It was bigger than a bunch.
The list includes a Dothraki sword, a Davos's finger bone bag. It says here money, I'm assuming prop money and not actual embezzlement from the production company. And a hand-carved stag, which I assumed belonged to Streen, so you kind of took it from her too. Too soon. I'm surprised HBO didn't shorten your fingers for this, but since they didn't, I'm wondering if anybody else in the panel wants to confess to taking something, not being given something, not as a gift, but taking something from the production that they were not supposed to.
I took the stuff they took as well.
On my very last day on Game of Thrones, I thought, I've got to take something. So I ran through the set I was on, which was actually not even a set I'd ever filmed on. I was doing a promotional shoot for EW, and I just grabbed whatever I could. And so after spending 10 years on Game of Thrones, I've left with a wooden spoon. It's very practical.
And Jacob, one of the burning questions fans had after the finale was, after Jon Snow killed Daenerys, why didn't Grey Worm kill Jon Snow when he discovered what he did? Because he was killing everybody else. I'm curious if there was a reason you were told back channel or a reason you worked out for your character as to why he didn't take out Jon after he confessed to killing Daenerys.
It's a good question.
And Nikolai, I mean, obviously your character sadly did not survive, and you made a very impassioned and I think accurate case for why Jaime would have went back to Cersei. But if let's say he had somehow survived being knifed several times and the ceiling falling in and Cersei had not, do you think that there is any chance that him and Bran could have worked out, given the things that Jaime said to her when he parted about him being basically too morally corrupt for that partnership?
Yes. Good night, everyone. No, I think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who knows? It's.
Have you thought about it?
Well,
Guys,
I only just got the question now.
Yeah. No, you realise we've got like a whole panel today, right?
Yeah. Not just about you, dude.
Yes.
No, I think that the whole the core of this is that I think Brienne sees him for what she wants him to be, and he sees him for what he doesn't want to be in a way. He's very cynical about that.
Two sides of the one coin.
Exactly, two sides of the one coin. But I mean, who knows? I think they would get together and have a cup of coffee. I don't know.
Awesome. Oh, well, guys, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
See you at the panel tonight.
I'm so sorry.
And thanks.
Died protecting his queen. Even though your character's off screen in that moment, that's kind of the real end point for his character. Now that some more time has passed from the finale. How is his end sitting with you?
It's sitting the same way it did when it aired, and I thought it was great ending. I thought it was perfect for that character to end in the arms of Cersei. It made sense to me.
It's always one.
All I've heard is that this panel was really awkward.
It was just a little weird. So to kind of give some context, Game of Thrones has been a huge panel at Comic-Con every year, but every year they come, right, and there's another season to come, and everyone's like, talk about the other season. They're like, we just want to talk about the last season. They did a surprise Hall H panel this year. They're like, hey, we're coming. We're going to talk about the final season of Game of Thrones. And everyone obviously was a little divisive. The original announcement had the showrunners, David and Dan, the director, Miguel Sapochnik, and a couple other cast members, in addition to everyone who showed up. And then the day or so before the panel actually happened, the showrunners, a couple cast members, and the director dropped out. And it was largely in response to kind of the fan reaction online and negativity around this season, we'll say, and how people were kind of like, oh my God, the showrunners are showing their faces after they were kind of treated as enemy number 1 and number 2 around the divisive final season of Game of Thrones. So you were in the panel.
I was.
Yeah, it was a little weird by the time after all of that, everyone finally walks out on stage.
Well, it was very weird because the show started off with the director of programming for Comic-Con coming out and being like, remember to be nice, everyone. We all love and respect each other. Don't be mean, basically.
Have you ever heard that intro before?
I don't think I have. Like, I don't think there's ever been a, like, let's all play nice.
Like this. Yeah,
There was no bloodshed.
There was no
Game of Thrones.
Fortunately, but there was also like not this kind of antagonism around a panel prior to it happening in a show that's very
and
much
the audience was vocal and were like booing in certain parts.
They were.
It wasn't like loud boos, but there were certain moments, especially when they were talking about the ending.
Little, like a Boo Earns kind of thing.
Yeah,
Someone in the back, like, who said that?
Yeah. Exactly. Some stuff were like, you know, oh, Jamie shouldn't have ended up with Brienne, you know, like all of this. It was awkward, and the weirdest part was that the cast, obviously, they love the show. They're in it the way that we aren't, and you know, we all respect the cast members so much and everything.
And I think the fans love the cast too. So,
but Conleth Hill especially kind of took the who plays Varys. Took the stance that there was no real backlash to the final season.
His exact,
His exact phrase was, I think, a media-led hate campaign.
But I want to start with something that I consider to be somewhat controversial, and this is beyond the fact that showrunners, D&D, decided at the very last minute not to come. They had to actually come on stage before the panel began and say something along the lines of, hey, fandom is for everybody, and we all have different opinions, and everyone's opinion is valuable, but let's remember not to be mean, even if you disagree with certain directions that shows might go in. He wasn't mentioning Game of Thrones specifically, but it was a very veiled threat to the people in the crowd of, be nice, you know, we know they're coming off of a controversial season, but if you get a chance to ask questions, let's try to keep it civil.
Each other's idiosyncrasies, and even if we disagree sometimes, we all do love we do love the content that is brought to us, and we do love the shows and the movies and everything that's brought to us, and we want that to continue. We want more of this content because we love it. So just keep that in mind, and just remember, you know, just remember this is a place where everyone is accepted and feels welcome and is at home. So please, thank you. So with that, we are here for Game of Thrones. And I am very, very excited that HBO has decided that Comic-Con is the place to say farewell. This is an amazing thing for us. This is so rare, and I'm very excited. And let's give a big round of applause to HBO for this, please. And I do want to let you know that James Hibbard of Entertainment Weekly will be the moderator for this panel. And with that, I believe we have a clip.
It's the most Emmy Award-winning scripted series of all time. Well, I have one more question before we go to fan questions. Okay. What will you miss most about playing your character? Not working on the show, because you know people always say, "Oh, the cast and crew," but
and it's been such a special, unique experience to be part of something that has brought so many people joy and brought so many people together, as Nikolai said. And I think that's something we'll all miss so much. And yeah, as Colin said, thank you for supporting us.
And I'm getting the signal for wraps, so that is all the time we have. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to get fan questions. That's my fault, by the way. But thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out here for the final Game of Thrones Comic-Con panel.
And no fan got a chance to ask a question, which I find to be kind of ludicrous. Like, okay, the showrunners don't want to come. Maybe they don't want to address the controversies of season 8 head on, but this was a great opportunity for the cast to answer some questions for fans who, believe me, waited in line for hours, nay, days to get into that hall. And I can tell you, as the Game of Thrones panel ended, 90% of the people who were in that hall left, which A, makes me feel bad for the preacher people who were having a panel afterwards, but B, showed me that the fandom was there for Game of Thrones to get an opportunity to speak. There was actually a girl dressed up like Dany who was being interviewed by a camera crew on her way out, and she was near tears because she was going to be one of the first people at the microphone to ask a question and never got that opportunity. And of course, the camera crew, as I was passing her, asked what she thought about Dany's fate. And this girl was not having it and was giving her opinion, and it was actually pretty funny to hear her say
each other's idiosyncrasies, and even if we disagree sometimes, we all do love we do love the content that is brought to us, and we do love the shows and the movies and everything that's brought to us, and we want that to continue. We want more of this content because we love it. So just keep that in mind, and just remember, this is a place where everyone is accepted and feels welcome and is at home.
Times are good. In summer, things are plentiful. The economy is good. They would not use that word, but that's essentially what it comes down to. The people are living lives at least as good as their fathers lived, or what they think they're entitled to. Those lives may be very poverty-stricken and downtrodden by our standards, but if you're a medieval peasant or a serf, and that's all you know, you're satisfied with that. It's a matter of expectations. But then suddenly winter hits, or a war hits, and people are coming in and burning down your village and killing you or raping you, or other bad things are happening. Then you look to your lords and you look to your kings and you say, why is this happening? You're supposed to be defending us. What are you doing wrong? Have you displeased the gods? Are you a tyrant? Are you evil? And that's when you get the stirrings and you get the kind of things we see in the food riots. So the High Lords are playing their Game of Thrones, and what matters to the common people is how they're doing and how their children are doing. And the lords lose sight of that at their own peril.